just remember being in the very far corner and seeing everybody in front of me just drop one by one, like flies, like just everybody dropping to the floor.
Wow, today marks a year, believe it or not, since the deadliest terror attack on American soil since 9/11, when a man pledging allegiance to ISIS walked into an Orlando nightclub and killed 49 people and injured dozens more. Now a new documentary tells the story from the victims themselves. Charlie Min is that filmmaker behind 49 Pulses, and you can find out more about that on 49pulses.com. Charlie joins us right now. Charlie, what prompted you to go down there and recreate this moment and really examine what happened?
Well, Brian, I've made 23 documentaries since 2010, and most of them represent innocent people who have been murdered. I'm here to give them a voice.
Right, and what did you discover when you went down there?
Well, a lot of the victims are upset at the length of time. It took 3 hours and 12 minutes for the shooter to be taken down. In 1999, because of Columbine, the SWAT policy changed, where you're supposed to go in and get the active shooter rather than surround and contain. So there's no excuse for this to happen in 2016.
Well, you have different things. For law enforcement, we'll leave it to the law enforcement experts. But in terms of the terrorist, who really is the guy that we should focus on, this guy swore allegiance to ISIS. He killed in the name of Allah. Why?
Well, we've been seeing this disturbing pattern, Brian. Look at all the incidents in the last few years, whether it's Paris, Brussels, Ariana Grande concert. Closer to home, we have Orlando, the Boston Marathon, San Bernardino. One way I think that we could beat ISIS is to not talk about them. I think it creates copycats. So every time ISIS is mentioned, we're feeding their ego. And again, it creates copycats. We have to stop talking about them and discrediting them.
That's very interesting, because you do not mention the killer's name, the terrorist's name.
I don't mention in the movie, yes.
But we do know that Ramadan started, and guess what happened? We had 2 London attacks, attack in Paris. We might have had one in the Netherlands over the weekend. Here's some eyewitnesses talking about what it was like to go from a night of partying to a night of terror.
I found out later on, I think he had called the news media and trying to let them know that, you know, to get his message across, that America needs to stop bombing ISIS in Syria. When we heard that, we're like, oh my God, is this really what we're hearing?
When he said he had bombs to light up a city block, at that point, I started making peace with God and peace with myself.
When you went down there, obviously these people and others in the area, they're still traumatized by it, right?
Absolutely. Today being the one-year remembrance, that's what the victims want to call it. Just a few hours ago, 2 a.m. Eastern Time, about 200 mourners were out at the Pulse. My cameraman was there getting some shots. So we're going to have a full day of remembrance to honor the victims today.
So awesome. Great. I'm so glad you're focusing on them, because that's what it's about. We have to stop it. 49pulses.com to find out more. You're going to submit it to Sundance. Best of luck, Charlie.
Thank you, Brian.
All right.